Hello, everybody. This is your weather woman meteorologist, Amy Metz, and today we're looking at the severe weather threat in the United States. This is 3 days from now being December 27th. So, on January 1st, as we kick off 2022, there is a risk for severe weather. This is not exactly the same setup as what we had a couple weeks ago with those very strong storms that nearly broke that record for the longest track tornado. However, there is still a risk here that there's going to be storms along a front. So I'll show you the difference here. Last time we had that severe weather a couple weeks ago, there was a large mesoscale cyclone. And so that means that the entire United States basically had this circulation going around it. The pressure was so low in the middle that it was drawing up air very quickly, very warm air from the Gulf of Mexico and pushing it together with the air from the north, which was dry and cold. This is warm and moist. Those are ingredients for tornadic outbreaks. Now, this time it's not as strong. This is a model for the first. This is the windy model. I do agree quite well with the whole gist of things on the synoptic scale that we will have. Hopefully everything is still running smooth. I'll check back here, make sure I can see myself. All right, so we are in live. Now, back to this. For whatever reason, let's see here. Yeah, I had plenty of life on my computer battery and it just went black on the screen. So I'm back to the plugging in to my outlet here. Now, for the first, what we're looking at is mostly the tornado probability within this yellow-orange area. A 15% chance by their standards means that somewhere within here, there's likely to be a tornado or two. Now, as this area begins to converge, what we're seeing here, this is the surface level winds. Anything bright here is going to be stronger winds. There's a color code down in the bottom right corner. And so as the whole system comes in here along the west coast, we're going to have a push of the rest of the weather system that's to the east. And when it converges with the different jet levels that I'll show you up in the higher levels, we'll have an increased chance for severe weather, again, as we have the warm, moist air from the south colliding with the cool, dry air from the north. So this is going to create a frontal zone here, sometime right around the 1st and 2nd, that will cross between, probably originate somewhere in this tip of southeastern portion of Oklahoma and extending up toward Illinois. From there, we'll be moving eastward with the severe weather threat. So as it pushes through there, it's important that everybody can stay aware. So now here we are getting to the first. We'll see where these winds actually start colliding. And then we get more intense wind speeds at the surface because of all that pushing together. There was that frontal zone, and then now it's passing off to the east coast. So once that hits the Appalachians, a little decrease in the severe weather threat, but from the point of Arkansas all the way through till it hits Georgia, there will be severe weather risk in the southeast United States. So now I'm going to start this over to right now and show you up high in the sky where the jet level is, the upper level jets. So what's happening here is that the severe weather threat typically comes from what's called the right exit region. Right now we're having what is termed somewhat zonal flow, a little less severe on the weather side of things. But now as we get this deep trough, this U-looking thing where the winds are even stronger and white and extremely strong and gray, then we will start to have a right exit region up here. We'll have an upper level trough. And this is a weather maker for one reason, that winds begin to move away from one another high in the sky, making room for more air to fill that in. So that air comes from down below, and that is added convection, which is just rising air. And as the air rises, it usually cools, and that causes the condensation and the thunderstorms. So now we're seeing even another situation going on here where there's the subtropical jet mixing together with a polar jet. So that is again, even in the upper levels, then the cool, dry air mashing up with some a little bit more moist and warm air. So as we reach into the second, you'll notice that this trough is now on the East Coast. So according to this model, which I'm in pretty good agreement with, that right about this time, the severe weather threat will be diminishing. It will be pushing off to the East Coast. But 24 hours before that is when we're going to see this system developing a cold front that will be right along this area. And so, along with that, there will be the thunderstorms. They'll be fast moving. There will be wind gusts at the beginning of the storms called gust fronts. And embedded in those can be some short lived tornadoes. Out ahead of that could be the chance for some of those stronger supercell tornadoes, but it is not as likely of a chance as what we saw a couple weeks ago with the last severe weather because these winds will not be so great. The pressures differentials, like between right here where that's going to set up, it's not as intense as it was a couple weeks ago. So while we could have some stronger winds pushing in the warm sector here, causing small supercells ahead of the cold front, that could have some strong thunderstorms with them, hail, tornadoes in this zone. It's just not going to be as plentiful or as numerous as what we just saw a couple weeks ago, according to all the data sets available right now. And so with those data sets, if you're interested in some of the more technical information here, this is a Vort Max, a vorticity section here that will be pushing down into the United States. This is data from today. And so in about 5 days here, this vorticity max and this zonal flow that I'm talking about, where it goes straight across horizontally for the most part, that's going to switch to being that trough where it's like the big waves, and this will drop down some. So probably will lose some of its intensity with this vorticity. This is a pretty strong one here. It will kind of dwindle down, but it will still remain as it pushes down into this area of the United States. So that's one reason why the severe weather threat is there, and it's quite obvious that it will occur. Another tool that I really like to use are these height rises, height falls. These are pretty dramatic height falls. This is one reason I know that system and the vorticity max that was over here will drop this way. Even the Vort Max that was situated near North Dakota will also drop down. When we have these height falls, it's just layers in the atmosphere, different pressure layers falling down. So basically, the sky is falling in some ways. That will make way for other air to push down in and create troughs, going from the zonal flow to the trough. So that level was about here that I just showed you. And so this zonal flow, then we're going to see it drop. So if I play out this model, I'm sure it's going to say the same thing because it has all of the same information. And you'll notice that zonal flow starts to stop, and then in that same region, we start to get some troughing and some short waves that will instigate some thunderstorms. But the big show, again, is on January 1st with that line of strong storms. And so I really hope everybody can just be aware, if they're in this area, of what kind of structure they'll be in, where you would want to go if there were a tornado warning, and make sure you're set up now for tornado alerts through some different weather apps. Or if you have an iPhone, there's I think they're called EAS alerts. Go into your settings and look up emergency alerts, and you can have it set up to go off anywhere that you are located or in a specific region. Personally, I will be checking the weather a lot. I'll be sharing here and on my Facebook page what's going on as that system is passing. Right now, there's a lot of dry air, so we have a few days here ahead of the storm where it's going to be warm still, above average, but then a lot of this moisture will cruise in. There's other moisture from the south that will also end up playing a factor in this severe weather threat as that cold front passes this region with probably the most intensity right in here. So I wish everybody well through the storm. It's nice that we can prepare ahead of time and just make sure that you're already set up for some safety methods. You know your tornado safety. You know that you need to be between the most walls as possible in the storm, as low down as you can be in a basement or a shelter is best. If you live in a mobile home near trees and you're worried that it's not a safe structure, maybe plan to stay with somebody else or find a community shelter if you're in this area as the storm is passing. So I think that's all for now. If anybody has questions, go ahead and ask them. Hi, United Weather Network. Nice to see you here. They also are always sharing a lot of information as these storms are passing. So there's a lot of sources out there to stay aware, because sometimes our TVs will stop working, when we have power outages, but a lot of times we can use our cell phones still and get this information. So yes, we'll have the thunderstorms the day before, and then on the 1st, according to SPC, this range keeps moving a little bit. The range is expanding, and the area with the slight increase continues to be moving a little bit to the east with each of their updates. I'm pretty confident that this will be the area that gets the most hit. I was wondering when they might incorporate a little bit of Georgia here. So if anything changes, possibly a little bit more to the east, there could be a little bit more severe weather here, possibly some water spouts. And as the days get closer, these forecasts will become more fine-tuned. But I'm very confident that this will be something that probably produces about 3 tornadoes. We're going to just have to wait it out and see, at least that these are most likely going to be the quasi-linear tornadoes, where they're less strong and they do not track on the ground as long, because it will be mixed in with all of that cold front turbulence. So enjoy the weather, everybody. I hope you can stay safe through these storms and remain aware and prepared, please. This is your weather woman, meteorologist Amy Metz. Find me on other social media platforms if you'd like to stay alert with different kinds of products.